Jozef Chen had a breakout performance at the ADCC European Trials, beating 3 ADCC veterans on the way to gold. This tripod pass might have been the highlight with his match with Tommy, but there were several moments leading up to this that demonstrate Jozef's understanding of the game. I'm going to be looking at the passing exchanges over the course of the match and looking at the decisions that both athletes made, and I won't be looking too deeply at the individual techniques, rather the overall flow of the match. So this is one of the first passing exchanges, and we find ourselves in a standard reverse de la Riva or split squat position. So if we pay attention to these high-tech arrows, we can see that Tommy is using his left hand to grip Jozef, and he's using his right leg as a hook. Jozef is going to respond to this situation by driving his head forward and looking for upper body position. So as a response to this forward pressure, Tommy brings his foot to the outside and he's still going to be gripping with his left arm. This is one of his favourite positions called the Keymaster guard. This was his guard position that he used to win his one match against Renato Canuto, and he also uses it a lot in the gi. This guard is good when people are pressuring into you because your lower leg is acting as a frame which is able to elevate people if they pressure in, and it also means that you can now use your top arm for gripping and you don't need the frame with that one. But because you bring your foot to the outside, it means you're no longer hooking them, and so people can disengage easier, and this is what Jozef does. So by disengaging, Jozef is now able to threaten outside passing. So Tommy manages to retain his guard and we end up back in the split squat again, and again the foot's on the outside, so the exact same sequence repeats. So on this attempt, Jozef gets a bit deep with the pass. He gets past Tommy's knees and you can see how hard Tommy is fighting to retain his guard here. So we're back to a split squat, and now Tommy knows that if he keeps that Keymaster guard with the hook on the outside, he's going to have to deal with the outside passing. So instead he chooses to keep Jozef's leg entangled, but now it means that Jozef can pressure into him. So Jozef adapts to the changing conditions and goes right back to his initial strategy. He's going to drive his head forwards and look for upper body position. However, Tommy is able to pummel the underhook back in and then sit up to an X-guard position. Jozef escapes and then they end up back in a split squat. But now Tommy has a dilemma. If he wants to play his Keymaster guard, then he has to deal with the outside passing, and if he doesn't want to play it, he has to deal with the pressure passing. From this reset position, we can also see how PJ Barch's strategy is different to Jozef's. PJ doesn't try and run to the outside and instead gets caught up in the Keymaster guard. This is also a good example of how if you pressure into the Keymaster guard, it's going to give the bottom player some opportunities. Now when Jozef ends up in a similar situation, instead of going right into the split squat and the Keymaster guard, he elects to go to the outside once again. Now we get back to a split squat, and Tommy is still reluctant to play with his foot on the outside. But the problem is that he's still reaching with his left hand, but because he doesn't have his bottom leg as a frame, it means that Jozef can once again look to pressure pass. So this time Tommy isn't able to pummel the underhook back in, and then Jozef scores the pass and the mount points, and the match is pretty much over from there. So I think there's a few key things that we can take away from this. Being able to understand what your opponent is trying to do with their guard, and then altering your strategy is a good idea. It doesn't make sense to try and pressure into a guard if that's what the guard player wants you to do. And then also, if you want to make grips when you're playing guard, you're always going to be opening up space, so you want to be mindful of how the top player is going to react to that.